Yes, everyone, and welcome to another conversation. Vijay, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, thank you.
You mentioned that there's a difference there. What are the effects of, subduing the mind? Like what happens then? Because we're we're saying that the mind is where, desire starts to crop up and then based on that, actions take place. When the mind is subdued, do we no longer have desire or like how does it work?
Let's go a little deeper into it. When we talk about desire, as I said, desire is an inherent property of a conscious entity.
Mm,
So when you are a live conscious entity, you will have desire. Desire is inherent in your nature. Now, whether you have desire of something which is physical or something which is non-physical is what is decided by the mixture of the experience that you have acquired. Now, what are the experiences that you are acquiring right now? You are acquiring only the worldly experience. You are getting in touch with only the worldly subjects. So the reason you get a worldly desire is for the fact that all our worldly experience are preserved in our chitta, and the chitta is activated by the mind, and those worldly subjects start rising in your mind. Of course, when the subject rise in your mind, your soul connects to that subject and you have desire for it again.
mm,
So desire originate from the soul only.
mm,
Mind is just an agent which causes that desire to happen, because it titillates you, that hey, this is a subject. Do you desire for it? so
yeah.
so mind is an agent which brings that subject to you, and then you have desire for it. So that is why we said that the mind is responsible for our worldly desire.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So in that case, the question arises like the if the soul is capable of desire, even right now, if it's capable of that, then why is it not self-aware? Like if the soul can right now say, this is what I want, then why can it not understand who it actually is?
Right. So, in fact, coming back to your previous question also, which is also related.
Yeah.
So, as I said, that mind is responsible for the worldly desire,
Yeah.
for the fact that mind has a constant job, constantly it is working you to connect to the worldly subjects.
Hmm.
So, by that, we can understand that as long as mind is active, it will keep moving from one subject to another subject, and you will always remain engaged with the worldly subjects. So by
Hmm.
that we can understand the moment mind will come to complete stillness, what will happen? Your worldly experience will vanish.
Mm,
And when the worldly experience vanish, there'll be also a point in the journey of Vihangam Yoga meditation that your consciousness will be set free from the clutch of the mind.
mm,
By that, what I want to say is, when let's say you are enclosed in a cave, then you are limited to have a vision of the sky which is within the purview of the opening of your cave. You can only see that much.
yeah.
But when you are set free from the cave, then you see the sky all over,
Mm,
as if you are breaking the boundaries which you are confined in, and now you're like open to infinite sky. So
mm,
similarly, when you are under the clutch of the mind, you have a limited window to experience the thing.
mm,
But when the mind is subdued, when the consciousness is set free from the clutch of the mind, then your consciousness is set free from the boundaries of the mind.
mm,
And that is when there's certain other element which unfolds into your experience, which is of course non-physical in nature. because your consciousness definitely have the power to connect to something which is non-physical in nature. And that is when you start experiencing about even the self, because you self is also non-physical.
Mm.
You self is a soul, a conscious entity, and that consciousness cannot be perceived by the mind, cannot be perceived by the senses. So the moment we talk about who am I, well, many people confuse this question by describing this. Well, I am maybe a person who has these traits, and
Mm.
today I realize my traits, so I know who am I now.
Mm.
But see, who am I? The question which is raised in the spiritual text is not to discover our worldly traits, what we have become, but this question is to reach to the very fundamental. It is not about what you have become, but it is about what you are. So
Mm.
we have become maybe a kind person or so and so, this name, this fame. This is what we have gathered. This is what we have become. But what are we truly from inside? Our original form. That is what is being asked here when we say, who am I? And this will unfold only when you really unclutch yourself from the limits of the mind, because what you are truly is a subject of consciousness. It is in the dimension of consciousness, which is what unfolds when the mind is subdued.
Right. Right. That is a very interesting thing to understand. Yes. Okay. Right. So it's not like the soul is completely hidden from us. It's more that we have a very limited, incomplete, and kind of like enclosed experience of what we actually are, and the rest is kind of being governed by the mind. Is that accurate?
Right, right. So we have chosen to perceive everything through the window of the mind. So
Yeah.
of course, it's something like this. If you have chosen to be dependent on something, then you are restricting yourself within the experience that your mind can give.
Yeah.
And in our scriptures, our own experience says that mind can only give you the experience of something that is made out of the creation, made out of the matter.
Mm.
Mind has no reach to anything beyond. In fact, within that itself, I always do this experiment when I ask people that, okay, so for example, I live in US, very close to New York. So I
Yeah.
ask people that, okay, think about Statue of Liberty, and it's very easy for people to recall because people have visited that place.
Mm.
And then I say, okay, now think about Patwatoli. So the moment I say this term Patwatoli, people will people will get confused. There'll be a moment, a fraction moment of the stillness. They will just don't know how to react about it. So
Yeah.
this also says that the mind has limitation.
Yeah.
Mind, in fact, mind can reproduce your experience that you have already got through your senses. It is limited to your senses.
Mm.
It's just that it's capable to weave together your different experience from different point of time, and form altogether a new experience for you. But if you go very granular level, the ingredient of the experience that mind is giving you right now, then every ingredient of it is already perceived by you through your senses.
Mm.
So this says that your mind actually works within the periphery of your senses.
Mm.
It cannot go beyond the periphery of your senses. So anything which is beyond the periphery of your senses is inaccessible, not accessible to the mind. And
Mm.
so your mind will never give you the experience of who you are, because you are unperceivable by your senses.
Right. Understood. Right. That's actually much more. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So, uh, coming to an interesting two kind of things that I want to, cover and then, kind of wrap this up. So, first is I wanted to understand maybe the most critical thing that our listeners, want to understand. Like we've talked about the mind, its nature. How does Vihangam Yoga, what happens when we practice Vihangam Yoga? Like, why is it that Vihangam Yoga allows us to control the mind?
I always say this, let's say the fire is on and you're sitting close to the fire. Of course, how hard you try to keep yourself cool. Maybe you're kind of wiping your face all the time, taking a shower in between. But if you're sitting close to the fire, the heat will keep coming to you.
Mm.
So the only way out is to put off the fire itself.
Mm.
So people talk about meditation. The very fundamental of meditation is controlling mind. But of course, if I ask you that, hey, my child is bothering me in concentrating, can you just take care of handle my child so that I can concentrate on my work? Then your very first question should be, where is your child?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, in spiritual world, people have not asked this question. When they are taught the fundamental of meditation, this should be very fundamental question. Where is the mind in the body that I want to control?
Mm-hmm.
If this question is not very clearly answered, then as I said, you are taking resort of maybe the mental relaxation exercise, but please don't call that meditation. Because meditation begins with very fundamental thing, which is called dharana. First, something called dharana happens, and then the real form of meditation evolves. And dharana is about controlling the mind directly, not about working with the breath, not about working with relaxing your body, but working directly with the source, the fire itself. So in Vihangam Yoga meditation, the very fundamental, the very first stage of meditation itself is about, it's around the very clear concept about the mind, where it is located in the body, how it functions when you're awake. So you know how to exactly control, get hold of the mind and hold it at one place.
Yeah. Right. So by nature of that practice, because we're starting to locate the mind, is it fair to say we become more aware of the way it works? And then that allows us to focus better, concentrate better. It just seems like a natural extension of that, right?
Right. So, the good thing about the soul is that, it changes. See, the human being evolves with the wisdom. When you acquire the clarity about the stuff, then the way you react will change because you get that much of clarity. So Vihangam Yoga is not only about practicing meditation, but Vihangam Yoga also gives you very clarity about every element through something called satsang. When you read Swarved, you are basically getting satsang. You are getting clarity about things. So when you get clarity about mind, how it functions, then instead of allowing mind to take over your emotions, the moment it starts taking over your emotions, you just put a break on it, because you get very clear idea about how the things start. So the moment the seed starts germinating, you act on it, and you know exactly how to act on it because you understand very mechanism of how the different thoughts start germinating within you, which may drive you off track of what you are willing to do. So understanding all that mechanism, you apply those wisdom and you stay focused. Of course, the regular practice of meditation is very essential to apply or to be equipped with that much of control within you to have a break on the mind when you wish. So mind is definitely, the meditation is very fundamental need for you to be equipped with that much of control and power within you. You can apply a break on the mind and remain focused on what you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Right. Very important to be able to do that, because
Right.
otherwise it seems like, I just sometimes I look at my own life and I see that, we're bombarded with so much information, and it becomes so hard to even just read something because you're thinking about the previous 10 things you just scrolled past. And I think it brings me to the maybe the last thing I want to reflect on with you for today, at least, which is how has all understanding these concepts and practicing meditation, how has it actually changed your life in a tangible way? Like, if you could look at yourself maybe before you started meditating and after, or even before you started to understand these concepts and after, what has tangibly changed? Like, for a person who's not in Vihangam Yoga, if
Right.
I like say myself, I'm new to it, if I
Right.
am, then what is the what happens?
The beautiful change that has happened in my life, which I always admire, and I'm enjoying that change all the moment, is that Vihangam Yoga actually evolves you as a person. It matures you as a person, and you you understand all the mechanism of sorrow and happiness in life. What is the root cause of any sorrow in life? How things then change and you become happy. So Vihangam Yoga, what Vihangam Yoga brought change within me is it has broken the dependency on something else to be happy. Because through Vihangam Yoga, certain characters, certain traits have developed within me, which is enough for me to be happy. You know, people enjoy happiness being dependent on certain event. People want something to happen in life to be happy. But I must openly say that I enjoy happiness out of being patient, being serving people. Um, how to express this? It's like very inside, as if the happiness is now blossoming me inside, and I don't need to be dependent on things. Very nature of myself is something I enjoy. My nature itself, something like this. What I have become, that itself feel happy. I don't need to look at anything else.
Mm,
The nature that has developed as a person within me, that as if the happiness is engraved into those traits that has developed, that has germinated through the practice of seva, the satsang, and the sadhana, the meditation, as if certain traits develop within, which are very human in nature. For example, if you talk about, just imagine this thing. If you have developed a lot of patience within you, if you have developed the character of forgiveness within you, if you have developed the adherence to the truthfulness within you, these traits automatically hold you onto the ocean of peace, as if you'll stay in the state of peacefulness all the time, whatever happens in life,
mm,
as if this has engraved in your character. Nobody can separate it from you. You don't need to be dependent on anything to be peaceful, because the peace has become your character.
mm.
So I have seen that change happening within me. So I enjoy myself. I don't need to be dependent on anything else. I just enjoy my character. That's the very change inspire me also to keep doing what I am doing.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you'll probably agree with me when I say that it very much feels like a blessing that any of that takes place, because even if I look at my own self as a practitioner, of the last, however many years, it's definitely striking. People, when you look back on yourself, you look, maybe 5 6 years back, and then you look at yourself today, you see a difference, and you just bow your head because you feel like this science is transforming you, is evolving you, like you just said, Vig. Like, I definitely see that in everyone around me as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. When you start reflecting on it, you then realize, oh my God, that so much has changed within. You just don't realize while going through the journey, but it's as if saying, as you always say, that you never realize when you become this much tall, because it's a gradual change,
Yeah.
and that's what Vihangam Yoga does. Gradually, it makes you a human being, which is most beautiful thing to happen in life.
Gee, absolutely. Well, VG, I have really enjoyed this conversation. I have learnt so many beautiful things from everything you've expressed. Thank you also for sharing, your own personal journey, because I think that's so inspiring, and it's so, you know, it really is I feel like it really represents one very important thing for me, which I hope for everyone listening, which is the life of a seeker, which is, you hear something, you try to understand it better, and then the journey begins really. Jigyasa, as Swamiji says.
Right.
G,
Absolutely.
G. So I know, we've taken up quite a bit of time here of your own, very precious schedule. I want to thank you for coming on this platform once again. I know we're going to have many more conversations in the future. I still have a bucket load of questions that I want to ask you.
No, I must admit that it was so joyful talking to you, Abhinavjit.
Yes. Yeah, like same. I just looked and I was like, wow, okay. So that's just the nature of all this knowledge, isn't it? You start to
Right.
subtract.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, folks. Like that brings us toward the end of a conversation. This is what we're going to try and do from now on. We're going to try and grab a person, and a person as inspiring as VAG today, and we're going to just go deep, because just like all of you out there, even we are learning from each other. Satsang, as VAG just expressed, the online forum which we're trying to develop here, the whole aim is for us to go deep, to understand things, and then to see those changes in our own lives. So I hope you've all been able to benefit from this conversation. I know I'm gonna turn this off and then go and think about quite a bit of stuff and reflect on my own life. So I hope that you're all able to take something away from today, and yeah, like let's continue this journey. Let's continue this evolution, and let's go deeper and deeper and understand the science of the ancients, the science of Sadhguru Siddhartha Maharaj, Vihangam Yoga, on this global forum. So just everyone, and let's reconnect again.